One question can bring you back into your body, out of the noise of the world, out of the story in your head, and into something quieter, steadier, and more real. Welcome to One Question, a short weekly reflection to help you reconnect with your body, your values, and your truth. This week's question is, where do I feel peace in my body? I've been thinking quite a lot about peace lately, partly because I just moved again. I'm in a new home in Cardiff, and one of the first things I noticed was the quiet. And I don't mean like a metaphorical quiet. I mean actual physical quiet. After living in cities like London and Berlin, where there was always sound, traffic and people and sirens and trains and neighbors and planes, the silence here is almost eerie. The first few nights, it felt so unfamiliar, almost too still. And then something shifted. I realized there was a kind of peace here I didn't even know I'd been missing. Not excitement, not happiness, not even relief, just calm. And what surprised me most wasn't just noticing it around me, but noticing it inside me. Because even with everything going on in the world, politically, socially, and personally, even with things that make me feel worried, angry, or unsettled, there are still places in my body that can feel peaceful. And that feels important. From a nervous system perspective, peace isn't about the absence of threat. It's about the presence of safety. It's about moments where the body feels regulated, the breath softens, and muscles unclench, and the mind isn't scanning for what's wrong. In polyvagal theory, this is what we would call the ventral vagal state, when the nervous system feels safe enough to rest, connect, and think clearly. The thing is, we often assume peace has to be global, that we can only feel peaceful when everything is okay, when the world is calm and our lives are sorted. But that is not actually how the body works. The body is capable of holding multiple states at once. That's why we can feel grief and peace, anger and calm, fear and safety at the same time. And sometimes peace doesn't show up as some big emotional state. Sometimes peace is just a small pocket, a soft place, a warm place, a steady place. So rather than asking yourself, am I peaceful? I've been asking a different question. Where do I feel peace in my body? And for me, that question changes everything because it shifts the focus from fixing the whole world to listening to my body. So I want to invite you to try something with me. Nothing complicated, just a little moment of attention. If you're somewhere safe to do this, soften your gaze or close your eyes, whatever you're comfortable with, and just notice your body. You don't need to change anything. You don't need to relax on purpose. You're just noticing. And then gently ask yourself, where in my body do I feel even a small sense of peace right now? It might be in your breath, your hands, the feeling of your feet on the floor, the drop in your shoulders, maybe your belly is steady. You're not looking for bliss here. You're looking for neutral to good. A place that feels steady or warm or quiet or simply okay. And when you find it, no matter where it is, just stay there for a moment. Notice the texture of it, the size, the temperature, the color, the sensation. This is what peace feels like for you. Not as an idea, not as some lofty goal, but as a lived experience in your body. And what's powerful about this is that from this place, you can think more clearly. When the nervous system feels even a little bit regulated, the brain has access to more options. We become less reactive, less catastrophic, more capable of choosing our next step with intention. Which brings me back to something I've been reflecting on. Even in difficult times, even when I feel deeply concerned about the state of the world, I notice that when I start from peace, from my regulated place in my body, that I can show up differently. I'm less overwhelmed, less frozen, less performative, and more grounded. And I can ask questions like, what is actually mine to do here? How do I want to contribute? With my money, with my words, with my work, with my presence? What next step should I take? Peace doesn't make me passive. Let me say that again. Peace doesn't make me passive. It makes me clearer. It helps me distinguish between what I can't control and what I can, between noise and signal, between urgency and importance, between standing still and taking a step. And that feels like the kind of wisdom that we're never taught. We are taught to react, to stay alert, to stay informed, to stay activated, but the body knows something else. It knows that sustainable action comes from regulation, not panic, from presence rather than pressure. So I'll leave you with this week's question. Where do I feel peace in my body? Not as a one-time reflection. Treat this as a practice. Something you can return to when things feel too loud, too fast, too much. Because peace isn't something you have to earn. It is something you can locate in your body. Thank you for joining me for one question. If this reflection resonated, you might come back to that question throughout the week, in moments of stress, in moments of choice, in moments where you're not sure what your next step should be. Until next week, be kind to yourself, trust your body, and always ask better questions.